Trucker Dave here, and today we get to start on this. As you all have seen in my previous videos, there's been this car sitting in the background. Now that we've taken the Crown Vic as far as we can go, we're going to get started on the next project that I hope doesn't drag on too long because winter's coming, but we're going to do what we can right now. I haven't got a battery yet. I went to Walmart with all the intentions of buying one. Ended up buying $200 worth of ammo and completely forgot the battery. So I don't feel like going back to town right now. So we're gonna get this thing started up. I'm gonna give you an overall evaluation of it, and we're gonna discover together what needs to be fixed on it. Okay, so we took the battery out of that, and let me give you a little rundown real quick. This car hasn't been started in a while. It every time it moves in and out, I'm pushing it in and out, so this will be new. This has the original 351 Cleveland. It's just a 2-barrel. It's a last year for 93 octane and leaded gasoline before they went and started doing all that EPA stuff. This is a 1973. It's got air conditioning. And that's a 351 Cleveland. So this is the coupe model rather than the fastback, and let's see if it'll start up. Sounds pretty good except for a slight exhaust tick. So let's go take it on a drive, and pretty soon the problem will become very apparent. Okay, so we drove it to the gas station. I had to get coffee. And let's take it on a spin. Let's take it out of town and see what happens. So part of the problem from sitting so long is it's developed a couple of leaks. The rear end has always leaked. It's always had a little drip here and there, and I think it's got a bent axle. That's why the guy I bought it from said he could never get it to seal. And the transmission's got a leak, which I don't know if the seals are going bad in it or if it's actually just leaking and just needs fluid, so we're gonna have to check that also. But it'll do what I need it to do for this video, so we're gonna head out of town and let's get it going. We're running about 30 miles an hour now, and she's running pretty smooth. The tires have some flat spots in them, but we'll run them out here in a minute and get this thing warmed up, which shouldn't take very long, so let's go. One of the problems you have with cars like this is that when you don't drive them on a regular basis, like this one hasn't been, the fuel goes bad. You can hear it'll start popping. So yeah, the fuel goes bad. It just got cobwebs in it. It just needs to be loved. So we're gonna turn around and head back to town. Oh, that's not good. And oh yeah, you can already hear it starting to, the oil light hasn't come on yet, but you can hear something in the upper end's not happy. Well, the oil light was on, and there we go. It goes on when we rev it up, which means the oil pump's working, but we'll get stopped here and we'll go over what's actually going on. I pulled over here on a side road where we'll be out of the way. That right there is the sound of a very unhappy engine. It's definitely upper end, and I'll tell you how this happened and how we discovered it was upper end. Now that we're back in the driveway, it's pretty much staying on full time now. So we're pretty sure it's upper end. It could be lower end, I don't know. It's got something knocking, you heard it. The reason we think it's upper end is everything runs fine, it sounds great until it gets warmed up, and then when you punch it, it starts missing and sputtering a little. That's why I don't think it's lower end. Now, that being said, it really doesn't matter. A knock is a knock, and you got to get it fixed. If you watched one of the videos that I posted a while back when I replaced the oil pump, that was the car we replaced it on. There was a lot of bearing material inside the oil pan. So what causes that is just general abuse and wear and tear. I mean, it's a 46-year-old car, and the engine is all original. It's never been rebuilt. It's never had the heads redone for unleaded gas. It's just, and the previous owner had a 16-year-old son who drove the living piss out of it. So that's what happened there. You know, 16-year-old kids. I was 16, and for all of you remember me when I was 16, and the Bondo Bomber that I drove, it was, yeah, 16-year-olds drive like 16-year-olds, which is also explains the Crown Vic. Now, the plan is to pull that engine out and stick the other engine in, and so that's going to be the next video when we start going over that engine, because we're going to have to tear it apart, do some regasketing, check out a few things, and make sure that the engine is all it's strapped up to be, because I did buy it secondhand off Facebook Marketplace. I got a good deal. If you know me, I love a deal. So let's go over this car real quick. I'll show you the ins and outs and what we all need to replace, and we'll just have to go from there. We'll start over here in this corner. We're going to keep that. That's an MSD ignition. I'm not sure whether the air conditioning pump actually does work. It's an R12 unit. It's never been converted. It's got a nice Edelbrock carburetor on it. And everything else under here is pretty new. But the block itself, I've redone the brakes, everything, you know, everything's actually in really good shape. It's got a knock. But we go back to the transmission under here, and that's another story. If you can see, it's pretty wet under there, so it's got quite a leak. So we're going to have to fix that, as well as the rear end. The rear end's had a leak for quite a while, as you can see right there. But aside from that, the exhaust is in good shape. And I'm thinking about swapping these drums out and putting an Explorer rear end in under it, because I can put the same disc brake setup on the without taking the rear end out. I can put disc brakes on it, which might work. So, but that's for a later date. The exhaust is all pretty brand new. I've had that gone over once or twice, and it's got some good tips. So let's check the exhaust tips, and we'll have a pretty good idea what the engine's doing. Due to the fact this car has never been converted to run on unleaded gasoline, the valves were never reset, reseated, or redone, so they got a little hard, they got a little dry, and there is some blow-by, because this car was made to run with lead instead of unleaded, and there is a difference. And yeah, that's a whole nother topic that irritates me, because everybody went on an anti-lead campaign, and there wasn't enough lead in a gallon of gas to even hurt to fuel a pencil tip. Yeah. So let's check the exhaust. Each one of these tips runs one side of the engine, so it's got a little soot, but that's good. So there's nothing wet. I like that. Here on the other side, this is the driver's side, that's a little wetter. So we're probably got some blow-by on this side. What we'll be doing on the inside is not a whole lot. It's got new carpet, new dash pad. I don't like the fact that the previous owner hacked the dash up to put a square face in, but we can't deal with that right now. But it's got a nice Rockford Fosgate system in it, so I can deal with that. These seats are gonna go. They're Gen 3 Camaro seats, and well, yeah. But the back seat's in really good shape, and the back deck is in decent shape. So there's not a whole lot that needs to happen with the interior other than seat belts. I do believe new wheels and tires are in order. This brand of tire has been the biggest disappointment in my life. I've had multiple sets of these. In fact, I've got a set on this car too, and they're just awful. Both back tires are junk, and they were junk from the day I bought them. The front ones are okay, but we're gonna do new wheels, new tires. I'm probably gonna go back with BF Goodrich's because I like them, and they always seem like even when they're worn out, they still ride good. So we'll do that. Future body plans involve paint, but it also involves replacing this fender here. This is off a 76 Ranchero, and it never has quite fit right. The stock fender is here, but we had a problem with this tab right here, and it's bent, and I have to go in and reform this piece here. I've got a pair of headers right here, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use them or not. I'll make that decision when I get the engine out. As you can see, I've got my work cut out for me. This is going to be a little more in depth than the Crown Vic. The Crown Vic was basically just bolting things back on and making it look normal, even though I don't think the Crown Vic will ever be normal. Probably not. So we have our work cut out for us with this. The engine is definitely, I'm not sure about the transmission. I'm half tempted when the engine comes out to take the transmission out and install one of these that I have over here. In my pile I have a C6, an FMX, and a Longtail FMX. So we're gonna have to decide what I'm gonna do, but I know the Longtail worked when it was taken out. It worked well, had a little bit of a leak. The other one has had a new front seal and all that, but I don't think it's been rebuilt, so we have another dilemma when doing that. The dilemma is this: how can we be sure that those transmissions over there are any better than the ones we're taking out? I know the one in that car works. It probably just needs some new seals. So is it one of those things that when I have the engine out that I just need to take out and have rebuilt, or is one of those going to work? Only the mechanic can answer that question. And you'll know when you get the engine out. If I was in a hurry, I would have already looked and seen all the specs were on that transmission. I would have taken one of those off to the rebuilder. That way, when it was time for me to rebuild the engine, I would have had a brand new, ready to go transmission. And we could all do it in about 6 hours. So it's all about the mechanics, all about the time, and it's all about what you're willing to do and how far you're willing to go with the stuff that you have. So in doing that, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, and I'll know that when I get the transmission out of the car. So I know this video isn't terribly long and in-depth, and it really wasn't meant to be. It's just an overall view of the project that we're going to be doing here, well, that we're starting here now. And I hope you like it. I hope you like, share, subscribe. And if you have any ideas for what you want to see happen with this Torino, I'm always open for suggestions because cars are meant to be fun. So I appreciate it. Thank you for watching.